wouldn't it be nice if your IVC rack could tell you which cages were low on food, which ones were missing a water bottle, or which ones had animals fighting during the night? The DVC system can do that. DVC stands for Digital Ventilated Cage, and I'm here with Isabella.
Hello, everyone.
Isabella is our product specialist for the DVC system. I'm Brian, I'm in the marketing department, and today we're going to review the DVC system, the hardware, the software, and how it improves animal welfare, enhances research, and optimizes efficiency in your vivarium. So let's get started. The DVC system is comprised of software and hardware connected to a cloud computer. The system utilizes boards that are placed underneath the cages. So you can see these washable, autoclavable thermoplastic boards have 12 capacitance sensors. And these sensors can detect the animal locomotion, if there's a flood in the cage, or even the dirtiness of the bedding. These boards are all connected via washable autoclavable wires in the back, and then they connect to the master. This is the touchscreen interface used to view alarms and perform scheduled tasks with the DVC system. All of these boards send the raw data to this system right here. It stores it, and then it pushes it to the cloud. And it uses our algorithms to detect if there's any welfare issues, if there's any alarms, or any scheduled tasks with the system. Now Isabella's going to talk about how the system keeps track of all this data and how it generates alarms for low food and water.
All right. So everything with DVC is by cage. So there's no microchipping of the mice. Everything's done by an RFID tag that's either in the filter lid or on the filter. So basically you can move the cage wherever you want on the rack, and all the information is going to stay with each cage. So in each cage, there's a bottle flap and a food flap. It basically just detects whether or not you have enough food in your food hopper or if the bottle's there. Brian wants to go back over the LEDs, so
Thank you.
Here you go.
And the beauty of the DVC system is that it has an LED-driven workflow. So if you have an animal with a welfare issue, or a cage with low food, or a cage missing a bottle, it will illuminate the LED next to the cage, which will immediately draw the attention of the animal caretaker. I'll just give an example right here. We can illuminate the positions that are open right now, and you can see they're all marked as red. This LED has the capability of being green, red, yellow, and the color indicates typically the importance of the alarm or the alerts. The LEDs are integral to the workflow with the DVC system. The DVC system has algorithms that run daily to detect any welfare issues in the cage. These algorithms can detect fighting, hyperactivity, hypoactivity, and unusual spatial activity. And the system will alert animal caretakers the next day to any of these issues. These alarms are accessed through the touchscreen, the DVC master. So if we go into our scheduled tasks, and we go into our welfare check, although there's no mice on this system, it is showing us which cages had issues during the night based on the history of that cage and the data with that cage. To clear these alarms with the cage, the animal caretaker has to remove the cage from it, inspect it, and on the touchscreen you'll actually see what caused the alarm and a historical trend of the locomotion in the cage to determine if there was a big deviation in locomotion. And now Isabella's going to talk about how the system can also facilitate your daily checks with the LED guided workflow. Let me just go back.
All right, so the daily check is just a tool for your animal technicians to actually inspect each cage. So basically, you would use our haptic sensors to press, and then you can go through each cage for 3 seconds or however long your facility typically likes to check the cages, and then they can go through the entire rack.
Yeah, and that's completely configurable. Some facilities take 6 seconds, some facilities take 10 seconds, and that's part of Isabella's role, is to make sure that the system is optimally configured for each facility. One of the most exciting things about the DVC system is the impact to the 3 Rs. It can reduce the amount of animals that you have to work with because it's constantly collecting data from the home cage regarding the animals. So maybe you don't need to power your experiment as well, giving insights that typically would not be there without home cage monitoring. It's a great screening tool, so we have a lot of customers that are using it for behavioral research to determine when to do water maze or when to do open field testing. It can also refine the process of working with animals. Because you have all these sensors determining if there's a cage flood, if there's fighting in the cage, if there's no food presence, it really does improve the environment for the animal. And then our system couples with a lot of ancillary equipment. So our DVC master does hook to our air handling unit, so it can check the health of that air handling unit, and how it's functioning, what's the temperature, what's the humidity, what's the status of the HEPA filters. It also connects to our REM device, or room environmental monitoring device, and that device can measure temperature, humidity, vibration, sound, human presence, and light. And what we found in a lot of our installations is that the life cycle is off or wasn't what they expected it to be, because our system can generate alarms not only for low food or cage floods, but for parameters that fall outside of the established range. So if you want the light to go from 6 to 6 and it's turning on from 7 to 7, our system can alarm and tell you that there's an issue with that. It also has helped us track down a lot of missing cages because of the human presence capability of the system. We know if someone is at the rack at any point in time, and our system will log that information, which helps us make a lot of informed decisions about the environment that the animals are living in. You know, we talked a little bit about how the system can increase efficiency in the vivarium. We also talked about what the system can do for animal welfare, but we didn't talk much about how the system can enhance research. And using home cage monitoring, it gives you insights into the animal's behavior 24/7. We also have equipment that goes in the cage, like a running wheel, where someone that is analyzing the data can see how fast the mice are running on the running wheel, what distance they're running on. And then we have an entire analytics platform that can look at cumulative urination, or the locomotion index, or the relative distance between the animals. It's actually very easy to configure and create graphs and heat maps. And after this in front of rack presentation, Isabella will be walking through some of the capabilities of the analytics software. And we've seen it used for many different types of research: vaccine research, cancer research, stroke recovery research, wound healing research. And what you have to do with the system is you can group house animals for experiments, but just make sure that your experiment and your control groups both have the same amount of mice. And since our system doesn't require tagging or chipping of the animals, the only way that you can perform like-for-like experiments is by having the same quantity of animals in the cage, so that you're comparing apples to apples, or mice to mice. Another way that the DVC system can refine the experience for the animal is it can detect the level of dirtiness in the bedding. So our system uses these 12 capacitance sensors to determine when a cage should be changed. And a lot of our customers that are using these systems for behavioral studies do not want to interfere with the animals. So it allows them to only change the cages when the cages are dirty. Now, as far as optimizing efficiency in the vivarium, our system typically lets our customers double or even triple the amount of time that they're doing cage changes. So if they're on a 7 or 14-day cage change, sometimes they can take it out to 28 days, all depending on the system and the level of dirtiness it detects in the cage. And while we're on efficiency, because the system tells you which cages are in need of service, whether it's animal welfare issues or feed issues or water issues or flooding issues, it really does cut down the amount of time the animal caretakers spend in the vivarium, and allows them to focus on the animals that really need that attention. And now we'll show what it's like to work with the touchscreen on the DVC system. Come here, camera.
With the DVC system, a master can work with up to 4 racks. So currently we have 1 rack connected, which is this rack right here. You can actually click this light button and it will actually light up the LEDs, so you know which corresponding rack that you're working with when you're clicking. You can click in and you can see all the corresponding alarms, scheduled tasks, and if you want to do manual tasks, you can do that as well. So first, we can go into scheduled tasks, and currently you can see you have some cage changes that need to be done and some welfare checks. If you go to manual tasks, if you want to do a cage change on your own, you can do that, as well as add deliveries for breeding modules and then dismiss cages. You can go into the alarms and you can actually see what alarms the system has picked up with the cages. Currently we're running a demo, so we don't really have any alarms, but we have a cage in wrong position. Also, if you want to turn off any alarms, like the low food alarms for special diets or anything like that, you can do it in here. Also, if you're doing certain cages without water bottles, you can turn off those alarms as well.
I hope you enjoyed our in front of rack presentation utilizing the DVC system. We're going to switch over to a laptop so we can show you some of the software, and I'll kick it over to Isabella to kind of recap everything, and thank you for your time.
Yeah. So yeah, like Brian said, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of presentation on how to work with the system, what the system does, and what it can bring to your facility for operations, for research, and also for animal welfare. We'll be seeing you on the computer.
Thank you, and if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining the software section so we can review some of the features of DVC software platforms. The first platform we'd like to review is the DVC operator. The DVC operator is used for general operation of DVC, and it allows you to view the alarms and the status of your cages without being in the vivarium. Here we're looking at the rack view, which is where you can see a visual representation of the cages in the rack. And you also can see the location of the rack in the facility up here. The cages illuminated in color are ones that are registered to the system and collecting the data. The cages in gray are not registered. The registration process ensures that the cage is assigned to an owner and there's animal information entered. You can see over here the number of registered cages on a rack, empty cages or unregistered cages, as well as unused positions on a rack. When clicking on a cage, you can see all information with the associated cage, such as the cage ID, number of mice, research owner, and research protocols associated. You can also see the alarms that have populated, when daily checks were performed, when bedding changes were performed, night welfare check data that has been recorded, as well as alarms history and any animal reports. So a quick overview of the night welfare check. So it's a daily check our system does to ensure the welfare of the animals. This is based on the animal's activity. It uses AI and algorithms to ensure the health of the animals, and it can detect fighting, hypoactivity, hyperactivity, unusual spatial activity, stereotypical behavior, and soon even seizure-like events. The night welfare check runs each night during the lights off period, and it provides information on what exactly has triggered the alert. So this can focus the animal caretaker's attention on the cages that are in need, because sometimes it's hard to determine the health of the animals with all the enrichment and bedding, and even just looking at the animals. You can't always see, visual symptoms. So with DVC's algorithms, you can pick up on these imperceivable changes and highlight the cages that need that attention. Just jumping over to our workplace platform. This is where you can do some configuration of DVC system and also pull really important reports such as cage census. So since all the cages are RFID tagged, we know exactly how long the cages have been in the racks, what research protocols are assigned to the cages, and the researchers as well. We can see the facility capacity, and it makes it really easy to calculate billable cages without doing manual censuses. So right over here, you can actually specify which protocol you'd like to pull up cages for, as well as researchers. So now I just wanted to show you some basic capabilities of the analytics platform. So the analytics platform has access to all of the DVC cage data, and this includes the animal locomotion, the bedding status index, environmental conditions, running wheel data, as well as events that go on with manipulating the cages. So just taking the cages in and out of the racks or even cage changes. So now I just want to show how simple it is to actually navigate analytics and pull data from the cages and create graphs. So first things first, you have to create a group. You can choose cages and identify them by their cage ID, the status, the type of cage, whether it's experimental stock or breeding, the protocol, as well as if you scroll over, registration date, position on the rack, animals, and the associated researcher. So if I input that I want to see cages with 3 mice, I can do that. And then it's pretty simple. You just select them by checking the box right there. And you can even select the time range that you'd like to view. So we'll do from January 1st to February 28th. So now that we have our cages selected, you can input the different metrics you want to actually view in your graph. So we'll select the animal locomotion as well as the bedding status index. You can change the type of chart you want to see, as well as aggregations. And you can even select to see events, so the cage manipulation and cage changes that I mentioned earlier, as well as even the environmental parameters. So I'll select noise. Then all you do is select visualize over here, and it populates the graph. So here are the graphs that populated. Up top is events. That is the cage manipulation. So when it's removed and inserted back onto the rack, as well as if there are any cage changes done to this given cage or cages. So right here, you can see when there was a cage change with the orange cage icon. Next one down is the bedding status index, and this is basically just a figure value that's considering the moisture in the cages and how the system detects the dirtiness. So you can see how there is a deterioration with the quality, and then it kind of peaks back up, and that's where this cage change happened, and then it deteriorates again and back up to the norm. So that's bedding status index. And then the animal locomotion index, this is just its activity level over time. And down to environment, from the REM data, we have noise considered, and you can see if there are any irregularities or peaks with the noise levels. And this is actually really insightful if you're comparing it to the locomotion, because environmental factors like noise or temperature or person presence or humidity or light can play huge roles in the animal's activity levels. So it's really nice to be able to see them side by side. That was just a brief little tour of our analytics package, but you can easily make heat maps, histograms, and compare cages to evaluate experimental outcomes. DVC is one of the few solutions that supports animal welfare, vivarium efficiency, and has its own platform for easily analyzing cage data. We have a team of data scientists that can also assist you if needed, but many of our customers find that they can use the platform without any assistance because of how easy it is to navigate. Just want to thank you all for tuning in and have a great rest of your day.